Um, as I mentioned earlier, John, you're the executive director of the Celebration Bowl. Just curious, how does one become an executive director of the bowl? I mean, what are the qualifications?
That's a good question because I still don't know the answer to that. um, it wasn't really something that I was pursuing. I was um, chief executive for 100 Black Women of Atlanta, and we actually ran a game, the Atlanta Football Classic, that featured Florida A&M and Tennessee State.
Okay.
And when ESPN was looking to launch the bowl game in Atlanta, um, you know, they reached out to me through the commissioner at that time to have a meeting with them.
Okay.
And so the conversation sort of led to to an offer to join ESPN. And I initially was a little hesitant, but just simply because I was enjoying what I was doing. But I enjoy building things, and I saw this really as a great opportunity to build something institutional for historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs,
Okay.
and to put to work at putting us in a space where we aren't as it relates to being with the other bowl games. And although the Celebration Bowl was sort of a legacy of the Heritage Bowl, which was a legacy of the Pelican Bowl,
Okay.
that it was our desire to make sure we were able to institutionalize this in a way that 50 years from now, 100 years from now, that that this game would be very, very viable and would certainly be functioning at a level beyond what anyone would imagine today.
Absolutely. And so in 2015, that was the first year the Celebration Bowl was correct. Um,
Correct.
how well, you said ESPN, so who pitched it to ESPN? Did ESPN come to somebody, or someone actually pitched it to them?
Dr. Dennis Thomas, who was the commissioner of the MEAC at that time,
Mhm.
approached ESPN with the idea to get engaged with the bowl game. It wasn't called the Celebration Bowl at the time; they had no name, because
Okay.
the Heritage Bowl, which preceded that, had actually gone defunct. I think it was back in 1999, around that time, and so pitched the idea to ESPN, and it actually took 10 years after that for the MEAC chancellors and presidents to vote to approve giving up the automatic qualifier to go to the playoffs and
Okay.
actually go to the bowl game. So initially, again, it was his idea to pitch it to them. But as I tell people, there's a lot of great ideas out there that are in file cabinets and a lot, some in the trash heap. But because it takes three things to actually put something together. It takes an idea,
Mhm.
then it takes someone to finance it, then it takes someone to build it. So it's a three-phase. So certainly applaud Dr. Thomas for the idea. And I applaud, ESPN stepping up and saying, hey, we had to finance this.
Mhm.
And then, we were fortunate that we were able to come in with our team and actually build it. And so that's why we have what we have today.
That's awesome. The first time that I actually came to the Celebration Bowl was in 2019, and she say sports was just taking off, and I was working with BJ Jones and Charles Bishop. They were showing me the ropes, and I was trying to get on Radio Row. I couldn't get there. Something was going on that they stopped it or whatever, but I was amazed at how it was just like, for us, I had never seen that before. And it was a beautiful thing. And you guys have done an amazing job, truly an amazing job.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So John, how does the Celebration Bowl continue to stay nimble in the era of television market share and ever-changing landscape? Simply put, how do fans define what is the growth of the Celebration Bowl?
That's a very good question. I like to, I always begin with the end in mind
Mhm.
when I'm looking at anything. And the ultimate goal for us was to build a Super Bowl, to build our Super Bowl.
Doc, you mentioned Lincoln and the streak they've been on. They're the winners of 8 consecutive games. So they have not lost in this calendar year. There's only one team that has a consecutive
was a streak and it was 8, but I didn't realize they hadn't lost this calendar year. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, but there's one team out there who has a streak slightly longer than theirs.
I know. Oh, longer?
Yes, right now on the D2 level. On the D2 level. HBCU D2. Let me specify. HBCU D2 women. There's one team that has a longer streak.
Oh, well, that's easy to. Yeah. I mean,
nope, Tuskegee's only at 6 in a row. Tuskegee's only at 6 in a row. It's our forgotten HBCU on the D2 level. West Virginia State. They're the winners of 9 consecutive women.
Nice. Good.
Okay.
Yeah. I see you, Drew.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
keep that computer churning. I like what you're spitting.
Great observation there, Drew, about the records in Division II. I want to do a breakdown of looking at people's non-conference later, because that's fascinating when you juxtapose it against Division I, which we know that's a different story, but still, I think it is interesting to look at.
Brian, 11 of the 29 women HBCU programs on January 22nd have double-digit wins.
Nice.
It's over 1/3 have double-digit wins. No one is winless.
Nice. And I still say 20 wins is a mark. I think 20 wins is still an actionable mark that you look at and say,
oh yeah.
That's
I love that 20. I love that 20 win mark. It's still significant, particularly at the Division II level, NIA level. You get to 20. Sometimes at them, they get a chance to get to 25. Really looking good. Right. But at the Division I level, if you can get to 20 wins, you're really doing something. Sometimes that demarcation may need to be closer to 17, 18. But it's something beautiful about that round number when you can put that 20 win mark on it. So I love that you brought that up. Yeah, I love that you brought that up.
And take it one step further, everybody. 15 of the 29 are at 9 wins or better. So over half of our women's programs are at 9 wins or better with 5 weeks remaining in the basketball season.
They're being paid for their services. Yeah. Yeah, and I guarantee you, if you went to those players and say, hey, fellas, if we play these 2 games, you will get cost of attendance. I guarantee you the decision will be unanimous. Coach, let's play them. Let's play them.
Right.
Because the athletes are actually benefiting from it. But it's a two-edged sword. Even though you're playing those games to help those kids with the cost of attendance, you still put them out there. And AD was right. You still doing it's just doing it another way. You're still doing the exact same thing.
Well, I did answer yes to it when he posed that question. Yep. But then I think I came with something out of the field.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it. I love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, so we have none other than Trevin Jones, Brother Jones, as he is coming here live from home, giving us that sixth. I'm here, if you can't tell, I'm in Norfolk, Virginia. I'm here at the MEAC tournament. Trevin is usually here calling the game, but having to take care of business to get it done this year. But I took his place or something like that. I don't know. We're going to figure it out. With that being said, welcome to episode 372. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports, for institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic program in the business of HBCU sports. We just call it HBCU Sports Pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington Charles Bishop, filming from our home studios, actually live on the road, as we should say. All of us essentially on the road trying to get it done to make sure we can give you your content, because it's that time of year, survive and dance. And we had some teams, as people on planes, the other thing, they were certainly surviving and dancing as you got it going on. In fact, I can give you an update right here in Norfolk, Maryland. Eastern Shore is up on Morgan State, 46-35 at the half. That's on the men's side. We're filming with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer. Give a shout out to Rob Cooper as he gets it done for us. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab was brought to THD Agency LLC. THD, as you know, is a sporting, educational, consulting, and data company. With that being said, Charles, how you doing?
Doing well,
you
Dr.
should be
Bill.
smiling, man.
Yeah, I am. I'm smiling quite a bit today. So,
Trevin, your teams are winning. Both Howard University in terms of who you call a game, Norfolk State.
No doubt.
So y'all should be feeling good.
I'm definitely feeling good. I'm just mad I'm not there, Doc. I'm usually there, so I'm just I'm glad you're there representing 06, holding it down. I'm happy about that. But you're in my own neck of the woods, Norfolk. I love it there.
Yeah, man. You can't show me all the good stuff, man. I'm stopping around. I'm set up in a spot where they have, they just had the esports championship. They literally gave the trophy. The trophy went to Howard University. The runners-up was Morgan State University. And they had this exhibition hall where they have music. They have the corporate sponsor with games they have. Those folks that have been to the Celebration Bowl is similar to that, where outside of it, you had a fan fest, and they have people selling paraphernalia and those kind of things. So I'm right in the corridor with that. So pretty fascinating to see how it goes down here. What are your thoughts, Charles?
Yeah, and I'm over here at the SWAC Championship right outside the doors right now. Southern women and Prairie View women, they're getting it on out there. Southern up on Prairie View 18-9 in the second quarter. So we got a lot going on this between you and I, Dr. Cavil. I tell you what, this is going to be fun. The madness of March has started.
Hey, man. And they say that we don't give you what you want. We don't give you what you need. I don't know about that. Who else can give you live content like that's going on there? We'll let Trevin kind of give you some insight about the MEAC as he's called the game. So he's seen every team and things like that. So we'll give you some of those updates. We'll give you some updates in terms of what's taken place so far. Let me start that with the SWAC. SWAC game 1 featured Arkansas Pine Bluff defeating number 2 Alabama A&M 62-55. So things got off on an upset stunt when you look at number 2 getting it done. You also have Jackson State defeating Grambling State. That was a 1 versus 8, 59-50, a little closer than people thought. But at this point, as we said, survive and advance. Charles gave you an update of that game going on now, which is game 4, but preceding that was game 3, which is Alabama State that defeated Bethune-Cookman. That was a 3-6 matchup, 70-61. Give you some scores there. On the women's side for the MEAC, you had number 1 Norfolk State defeating number 8 South Carolina State 61-37. You had another upset, a 2 seed again, following course of what you saw in the SWAC in the MEAC, which was the number 17 Maryland Eastern Shore defeating number 2 Morgan State 49-46. Close matchup there, but they got it done in terms of what that looks like. The game 3 was number 4 North Carolina Central defeats number 5 Coppin State 57-50. You also had Howard defeating Delaware State 67-35. That was a matchup that had 3-6 there in regards to the MEAC. And in terms of the men that went on in the SWAC, Grambling State defeated number 7 Bethune-Cookman, really beat up on them. Number 2 versus 7 was 87-72. You had Texas Southern defeating number 1 Alcorn State 66-62. And you had Jackson State, that was a thriller. They went to overtime. That was madness. Overtime teams literally did not quite want to get the ball in to see if they could get a last-second shot off. Turnovers like back and forth, trickling down from about 9 seconds all the way to 0 seconds. In overtime, you had a slam dunk that looked like Jackson State was going to seal it. It goes off the rim. Prairie View gets a last-second shot, tough 3. Some people say it was a foul, but with everything going on, I don't blame the refs. They was like, "No, we're going home."
Let it play out. Let it play out.
Yeah, let it play out. Play out. Swallow the whistle. Swallow the whistle, as they said. They did, and it played out. So with that being said, we're going to take our first break, come back on the other side. We'll get Trevin in to talk about the season and some of these matchups, and has he seen the tournament kind of going to form based on what he's seen earlier? And then we'll get some insight and come back. We should have Charles Edmond actually giving us some updates on the SWAC side on the second half of the show. But right now, stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less. He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Now, you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Will inside the HBCU Sports Lab here in Norfolk, Virginia for the MEAC 2023 basketball tournament. Man, I got a chance to do the Hall of Fame banquet and some interviews with the 5 Hall of Famers that were inducted today. Man, it was a great ceremony. They call it a brunch, where they moved it previously where it used to be a luncheon during the football media day. Then post-COVID, they decided to move it with the basketball tournament. Seems to be working out pretty well. So that was fascinating to be a part of that. So I'm having a good time. They're taking care of me over here in the MEAC. So shout out again to Commissioner Steele.
Who are the Hall of Famers, Dr. Cavil?
I need to pull up the list.
Okay.
Yeah. Coach Harold Flea was one of them, exactly.
Yeah.
Hampton, Maryland Eastern Shore were represented in terms of that. And I'll pull up the list I have it in front of me. I think I have some of that. But with that being said, let me get with Trevin, give you an update. What do you think of the tournament thus far?
Man, I even love it. I'm not even there, Doc, because I already know what happens every year when the MEAC tournament comes around. There's plenty of upsets. You can never count on. I'll tell you what, and I'm probably going to be all over the place just for a second, but you alluded to the game that's going on right now, Morgan State and Maryland Eastern Shore. Maryland Eastern Shore is always a problem. I don't care what their ranking is. I don't care, especially on the women's side of the tournament. They always come in and they make some things happen. I know that they're playing right now. Whoever wins that game will actually take on Howard tomorrow. Coach Kenny Blakeney and his Bison are 20-12 right now. I think it's their first 20-win season since 1987. So, you know, they're rolling. Like I watched this game, the last regular season game of the season against Norfolk State, and Howard just caught fire. And they seem like they're holding on to it right now. Kenny Blakeney can go 10 deep. So anytime you can go 10 deep this late in the season, you're going to be a problem for the other team. The only issue is they split each game during the regular season with either Maryland Eastern Shore or Morgan State. So either one, I mean, once those teams get there, they're very familiar. So that'll be a battle there. I'll tell you who else to keep your eye out on. Coach Lavelle Moulton in North Carolina Central. I don't care what his record is.
Some good basketball. Yep.
Yeah, all the time. And Coach Moulton seems like he gets his Eagles ready and peaking at the right time. So they're waiting the winner of tonight's game between Norfolk State and Coppin State. Now, I'm a Spartan, but I also work for the Bison. So if you ever see a Spartan riding on the back of a Bison to the promised land, that's me. I know that's corny, but I put it out there. I say that all the time. So tonight's game, though, is going to be interesting for you, Doc, because it's a rematch of last year's championship game. Norfolk State played Coppin State in the championship.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, but see the record. Well, it won't matter because we're in the tournament. Coppin State is 9-22. Coach Dixon trying to get his people going over there, and then Coach Jones, another 20-win team. You know, they're 20-10, the Spartans. But last year, the Spartans beat Coppin State in the tournament 72-57 in the championship game. So it's going to be interesting. But I think that the Spartans have too much going on. I mean, when you're looking at Norfolk State, Joe Bryant is the man. I think MEAC Player of the Year, but also Charles Fratt. They got to pay attention to Chris Bankston because Chris Bankston is the second leading scorer on the team, but he's also the leading rebounder for the Spartans. So that's going to be interesting. So if Bankston can get up, and I think Bankston has he's a long player, but he has like a 44-inch vertical, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like, man, okay, you're already tall. Why you need a vertical? See, God just gave too much talent to one person. I shouldn't say that. I take it back. But anyway, on the women's side, though, pay attention because on the women's side, you got the games already set for the semifinal. You got Norfolk State taking on North Carolina Central, Coach Larry Vickers taking on Coach Stafford Oldham's team. And then you have, and the Spartans are 24-6 on the season, where Central is 15-15. And then you have Coach Fred Batchelor and the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Just like I said, they're always a problem, especially on the women's side. They're going to face the defending champion Howard and Coach Ty Grace. Now the Bison are 16-13 at this point. The Eagles, they upset, like Doc said, they upset Morgan State earlier today. So they're going into the season, to the game with a record of 10-19. If you're not there, you need to be there. That's all I got to say. For the Spartans, though, Norfolk State, because last year Howard and Norfolk State played in the championship game, and I kind of shut up because when you give me the mic, Doc, I kind of don't give it back. So I make sure that I do give it back to you. Last year in the MEAC championship game, Howard beat Norfolk State 61-44. So they smashed them. And it's like I was heartbroken and happy at the same time. You know, I said I'm Spartan and the Bison. But this year, pay attention to what's going to go on because I think the Spartans, they have like the big three. Kiara Wheeler, Camille Downs, and Deja Francis. They all average double digits when they're scoring. But the Bison, I cannot disrespect Coach Ty Grace and her Bison because Destiny Howe, Asia Hudson have been doing their thing. So it's going to be exciting. If you can't tell, I'm excited, Doc. I'm not even there, but I already know how it goes. So, I mean, the excitement reaches all the way up to wherever I am, and I don't even know where I am right now. But anyway, Norfolk is the place to be, aside from the SWAC tournament, Charles.
Well, Trevor, you started going down the path of where I was going to ask in terms of the teams that are remaining. Who are the players to watch out for? And you mentioned with Norfolk State, Camille Downs. You mentioned with Howard, Destiny Howe. But I mean, I'm just looking forward to these matchups. When you take a look at Norfolk State, North Carolina Central, in that semifinal matchup tomorrow, what's the big matchup to take a look at?
I think, like I said, it's the big three, because I think that like Central, I'm Miss Burks, Kamira Burks, I think is the leading scorer for Central, and she could be a problem. But I think that Norfolk State just has too much spread out power and shooting and scoring and rebounding. Because I just think the Spartans will control the boards and they can score, and I think that's just going to be any basketball game. If you can control the boards and give out the dimes to get it to the player that's hot, it's going to be a victory. So I'm just, not being biased. I said I'm the Spartan, but I'm not being biased. No disrespect to North Carolina Central, but I just think that the Spartans are going to take that one.
Sure.
Man, love that breakdown. Great question, Charles. Anything that you wanted to add in terms of what you just seen from the MEAC thus far? I know you called a couple of games on ESPN Plus, and you heard what Trevin broke down. Anything stand out that you agree, disagree, or like, I didn't think about that in regards to what Trevin shared with us?
Well, I mean, what jumps out to me, I think more than anything, is I wanted to ask Trevin just the style of play. And one of the things that I've watched throughout the season, especially with regards to the MEAC on the men's side, there have been ebbs and flows. We've seen Maryland Eastern Shore at the top of the standings. We've seen Norfolk State at the top of the standings. We see Howard with the regular season check. But just the style of play, and where does the advantage tip as we go forward here in this tournament?
I think the advantage is depth, Charles, and that's why I brought up Coach Kenneth Blakeney, because Coach Blakeney, he can go 10 deep. And when you're at this point in the season, if your team is peaking like they are, shooting from beyond the arc, I think they're shooting 50%, if I'm not mistaken. If you're shooting like that from beyond the arc, and you have the players that are confident to do that, and you can actually sub in 5 players and take 5 players out, that's crazy. So, and when you talk about ebbs and flows, I like the style that the Bison are doing with Coach Blakeney, because he runs. They have an up-tempo style, and they push the ball. Like Norfolk State, when they played them in the last regular season game, Norfolk State tried to slow them down, and they couldn't do it. Keep in mind also, Charles, and think about it when you see these scores, especially you, Doc, being in Norfolk at the MEAC. We just said that the Bison scored 91 points in their win over South Carolina State. North Carolina Central scored 89 points. So when you're asking about the flow, Charles, I think these teams are running it, and I think the Coach Moulton, Coach Blakeney, they just have their teams peaking at the right time.
Wow. It's very interesting. Very interesting to take a look at. Looks like we might have lost Doctor. Trevor, let me follow up there with another quick question. And we talked about it on the men's side of the equation, but on the women's side of the equation, again, going forward, styles of play. We always talk about styles make fights, if you will, but just going into it, where does the advantage tip toward on the women's side?
I think it's the boards, to be honest with you. Like Zamara Haynes for Maryland Eastern Shore. They upset Morgan State today. But when you have somebody that can control the boards, get on, and that's why I say Norfolk State might have an edge, because they have 2 players who are very good on the boards, and that's Wheeler and Diarra. I think they're averaging 8 and 6 rebounds respectively per game. And I think when you can control the boards, whether you're running or not, whether you want to walk the ball down court or you want to race it down court, if you get control of the boards, that's the key factor. And I think when you watch these games, like I said, for the women, it's Norfolk State, North Carolina Central, and then you have Maryland Eastern Shore and Howard. Watch who controls the boards. Again, Howard might also have the edge because they have Chrislyn Marsh, Ford Dixon. Those ladies, boards, they eat up the boards. So once you get the boards, it's a wrap, man.
Rebounding and defense. It makes a difference. Yeah. Well, it looks like we got Doc coming back in. Doc, you want to take us into a break here, or what we got?
Yeah, this is Dr. Bills inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We'll go into this next break. We'll come back on the other side, talk a little bit about the mid-majors poll updates. Not much there, but a couple of teams got some big wins. A couple of big wins in the NIA tournament, and then we got the Division II tournaments coming up. We'll be right back on the other side. Stick with us, Dr. Bills inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I'm in Norfolk. Charles is in Birmingham, and Trevin is bringing on the other side. I think we'll be right back after this break.
A Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Impress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab here, live in Norfolk. Charles is in Birmingham, Alabama. I'll fly in actually to join Charles tomorrow in Birmingham, Alabama, to kind of close things out. Trevin is giving us an update on the MEAC and just letting us know how the other side, to make sure y'all get your all your greatest and latest news there. Thanks all that have joined us. Ron Waters talking about Hell Wildcats. Ricky Burton is on here. Jimbo Muhali talked about the tough loss for Prairie View. Women are down now. Tough, taking it to the chin. Chuck Hunt is in the building. Jerome Sutton, Chief Sutton is here. Wendell Davis says, nice jacket. Yeah, I got this little jacket here showing out a little bit. Man, everybody asked me about the jacket, man. I need to be able to sell them. I'd make some money. Brandon King, Lennon Lowe is on here. John Richardson, Edwin D. Moore is in the building. Also checking us out. Brandon King, HBCU Heritage Center is checking us out. Appreciate all you all. With that being said, as we get it going on the NIA team, Langston has made it to the last 16, if you would, in the NIA, as they've won their first two games. And you also have Tougaloo in terms of what they've been able to do. Winning two games, so they in the Sweet 16. Unfortunately, Xavier, that would created the matchup between Tougaloo and Xavier, could not get past the number one seed out of that bracket over there. So Tougaloo will take up the number one seed out of the bracket, trying to make it to the Elite Eight. All these teams, after they play in these little pods in the region, now they go to Kansas City. So you will see two HBCU programs on the men's side, Langston and Talladega. We'll give you upset. Tough on the women's side, little updates there too. But what are your thoughts in terms of what's going on in the men's side of the NAIA tournament with Tougaloo as well as Langston? I'll start with you, Charles.
Well, you know, we've been taking a look at it all season with regards to the strength of our NAIA HBCU teams. Tougaloo, they've been number one in your poll rankings. We've talked about Langston being number one for a time period in your poll rankings. These teams we've talked and debated the strength of the NAIA teams versus the Division II teams. And we're seeing Tougaloo and Langston with an impressive performance postseason. And we had, Coach Eric Struthers on a couple of weeks ago with regards to Tougaloo. We were poised and ready for Tougaloo to make this run here in the postseason.
Yeah, we told everybody. We tried to tell you. Langston and Tougaloo, we told you. With that being said, Trevin, what are your thoughts there?
Doc, you know how I roll. Tougaloo and Langston, both of them have already won 31 games this season. Kudos to that. Just the mere fact that they won 31 games.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's crazy. 30 plus.
That's
games.
ridiculous.
Wow.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
and what I'm excited about is, we all do posts. Can I mention the HBCU Pro Sports Media Association?
By all
Yes,
means.
please do.
Oh, well, all of us are part of the HBCU Pro Sports Media Association, even Mr. Evans over there. And if you don't know what that is, just look it up. Google it, go to hbcuprosports.com. You can check that out. Definitely check that out. But what I want to say there, Doc, is, we all look at the HBCU platform and spectrum. And when it comes to basketball, and you made a great point, when anyone has rankings or polls, it's for the benefit of the institutions to get them the recognition that they deserve. And the NAIA schools get disrespected. Last year, our champion on our poll at Urban Media Today, and if I can put in a plug right there, we do a top 25 HBCU.
Put in a plug.
We do a top 25 HBCU rankings, men and women, and have been doing it for 6 years. So now, if you didn't know, now you know. UrbanMediaToday.com, check it out. And we do it on a weekly basis, just like everyone, like we do with the HBCU Pro Sports Media Association, because everyone doesn't do it. But we already know. And I'm getting back to what I was saying. I told you, Doc, when you give me the mic, man, I might not give it back. But anyway, Tougaloo and Langston.
He forgot I got the mute button.
Oh, you got the mute button. Okay, that's cool. One thing about Langston is Coach Wright. He coached Talladega last year, and he coached Talladega to the national championship. As far as our rankings were concerned, he made it to the finals of the NAIA tournament. So now he goes from Talladega to Langston, and Langston knocks out 31 games, man.
31 games. That's huge.
That coach could end up back in the championship again.
Yeah.
Good points made there. With that being said, when we look at it, you got some of the NCAA Division II matchups going on here. I do want to give a little update as we can get into the poll rankings. Let's bring up the mid-major, if you would, poll rankings on the women's side. Give those updates, if you would, Roy, in the background, pulling up. So you see dropping out this week was West Virginia State, the Yellow Jackets. They did get the bid to the NCAA Division II, so I was good to see that as they play in the same region as the CIAA champion, Elizabeth City State. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like in terms of them moving forward, and I should say Fayetteville State in terms of teams getting going there. With that being said, getting some votes is that Fayetteville State Broncos. You got West Virginia State Yellow Jackets as well as Lincoln, Pennsylvania Lions. Let's get into top 5 programs and see what that looks like in terms of your number 5 program. Giving it to you is that Elizabeth City State Vikings team, 19-10, 14-2. We're not ranked this weekend, but after winning the CIAA tournament a couple of weeks ago, and some other teams losing like West Virginia, as they lost in the first round of their tournament, they got it done. And as I said, they will be representing the CIAA in the tournament there. At number 4, you have none other than Philadelphia Smith. Panthers sit at 22-5, 17-5, 37 points. They were not ranked. They jumped in the top 5 as well. Bring us to number 3 on the women's side of the rankings. Russ Bearcats, 22-5, 12-12 season, 43 points. They move up 2 spots. Previous ranked 5, they continue to get it done. Great season that they had there. At number 2, none other than Florida Memorial Lions, 24-5, 15-1, 51 points. They were ranked 4. They moved up 2 spots, I should say, there, as they are number 2. Number 1 in week number 9, closing out the regular season and some tournament seasons before they get into national postseason play is none other than Tuskegee Golden Tigers. Obviously, they also make the NCAA Division II national tournament 22-3 as they got a great season there, ranked number 1. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of top 5 programs there?
I mean, when you take a look at the top 5 teams, all stellar seasons, and you start at 5 with Elizabeth City State with 19 wins, and as you progressively move up, 22 wins. Tuskegee got an opportunity to see them up close. Tremendous ball club, well coached. They rebound like no other and play defense, hard-nosed defense. Very deserving of the number 1 ranking.
Good stuff. Trevor, what do you think about my top 5? I know you came in here bragging about your little poll with all the voters. You got all these HBC Pro Sports media folks voting in your little poll. I know that means a lot to you, HBC Pro Sports. I've been doing the poll a minute too now. So I want to understand, man. What do you think about the top 5? that Dr. Cavil's mid-major poll rankings top 5. What do you got to say?
Never any disrespect to you, Frat. I already understood.
No,
You guys
no
have
disrespect. I just wanted to make sure you recognize what game is
always
game.
recognize and respect excellence without question. The top 25 is awesome. If I may, kudos to Coach Powell. I mean, Coach Powell, 26 wins. I mean, Tuskegee, they won 90% of their games. That is amazing. 26-3 for a women's team. Are you kidding me right now? And I know at the time when the polls are done, it's done when the records at that time, and I get it. But I mean, and then you look at West Virginia State. I mean, people don't give respect to West Virginia State sports sometimes. But then again, if I may say, I would challenge the institutions, even like Rust. Rust College women's team has been good for many a year. But you don't know unless you, the school, is putting it out there. We are diehards. We're researching for it. Like, we look for it. And you literally, and I know, Doc, you go through this pain too.
That's true.
We have to look for your information. So with us, look, and we find it, but we are the diehards. So to make it easy, on your websites and things like that, they should put it out there. And I bring that up because Rust is very hard to find their information. But Rust women's team, the Lady Bearcats, oh man, y'all have been awesome and have my utmost respect for the past 5 years at least.
Man, that's a great point. Got to continue to get those resources, continue to get your information out. GCAC in terms of conference, they're pushing forward. But great point. People want that branding and awareness, but you got to get it out.
Got a halftime score for you, Doc.
Oh, give it to me before we get into the men's top 5.
Southern women on top of Prairie View here at halftime, 31-12 is your halftime score with Southern and Prairie View.
I thought you were going to give me a better halftime score than that.
I wish I could, but it popped up here in front of me, so I had to make mention of it here at halftime score.
No, I understand. That's what happened when you are in the clubhouse and in the semifinals. You can kind of do that. You stick your chest out, feeling good, and things of that nature.
You can look at other scores.
Yeah. Maryland Eastern Shore is up on Morgan State 64-53. That's 11 minutes left, a little over 11 minutes in the second half there. So we'll kind of keep you updated and see how that goes. But let's get into the mid-major on the men's side and give you an update in terms of the top 5 programs there. 2 teams dropped out this week. A lot of chaos was going on. Tuskegee Golden Tigers drop out at 20-8. Look at the record of these teams falling out of the top 5. Philander Smith Panthers fall out at 22-7. It's tough to get in the top 5. Top 10, that's nice and all. The top 5, we're talking about the elite of the elite. Let's get in those teams because you have some receiving votes. Philander Smith Panthers receive votes. Tuskegee Golden Tigers receive votes, as well as Claflin Panthers and the West Virginia State Yellow Jackets, all receiving votes. All of them except for Claflin are at 20 wins or above. With that being said, let's get in the top 5 programs. Number 5, as we look at these top 5 programs, number 5, Virginia Union Panthers, 23-7, 12-4. Were not ranked. They jumped back in the top 5. So people had some concern about it last week. But see, some teams lose, things happen. Moving around, they did make the NCAA Division II tournament, moving us to number 4. At number 4, we have none other than Miles Golden Bears, 23-6, 15-5. They win the SIAC tournament. They were not ranked, 53 points. They get the NCAA Division II bid as well as they continue to climb and get in the top 5. At number 3, who is number 3 this week? Winston-Salem State, 20-8, 9-7. 61 points, previous ranked 5, jumped 2 spots in the top 5 after they won the CIAA tournament a couple of weeks ago. They also get the bid to the NCAA Division II tournament. At number 2, who do we got at number 2? Langston Lions, 22-7, 20-2, 3 first place votes, 76 points. They rank number 2. They're getting done in terms of the top 5 programs. Bringing us to number 1, as we said, Langston has won their first 2 games in the NAIA tournament. They're rolling. But so did the Tougaloo Bulldogs, 28-1, 14-0, 5 first place votes, 79 points. Ranked number 1, Tougaloo will get another test as they take on the number 1 team in their region. Langston, as the 2 seed, continues to roll. It'll be interesting. They would have to meet up in a championship game in the final if it happened to let you know what was going on there. So let me go to Trevor. What are your thoughts in terms of what is looking like my mid-major top 5 programs? What do you say?
Coach Eric Struthers, It took you 4 years to get here, but you came in here kicking the door in, brother. Congratulations and kudos to you. 31 wins, Batugalu. I mean, that's awesome. I know Coach Struthers, like I said, he's been there for 4 years. I'm impressed with that. Your top five is right on point.
We're doing the show live. Yep.
Right on point with the top five. You have Langston up in there. You mentioned Virginia Union. Miles went in the SIAC. I mean, and then Winston-Salem State pulling out the CIAA. I was like, wow. I mean, I think that took everybody by surprise. So, yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, I'm excited. Coach Struthers, kudos, Coach. Kudos.
See, that's what you get when you live. Folks asking what you doing. They get excited and whatever about what's going on. Supporting you. Say, that's cool. Charles, what are your thoughts? I saw you in the background. Folks coming in there, they see famous Charles Entertainment. They be like, "Hey, Charles, how you doing?"
I know, exactly. a little bit of buzz.
What do you think what Trevor said about the top five?
I echo those sentiments with regards to Eric Struthers. Surviving advance, they move on to take on this #1 team. Keep an eye out for this scorer they have. Young man by the name of Trajan Fielder. He went off in the last game, 25 points. I hit 5 3-pointers. They have a double machine down low as well, and Darryl Jones. So they have those elements that can take them far. They can take them all the way to the championship game. They have great scoring and great rebounding. Like you said, I take my hats off to Coach Eric Struthers. Took him a while to get here, but he has definitely knocked in the door since he's gotten in here.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's go to our next break. We'll come back on the other side if we can get Charles Evan in the building, see what he tells us, his thoughts as he's been at the tournament. You talking about Panthers feeling bad with the upset. Well, he got it done with the Tigers. The other thing, Charles, that we get to smile, man, we take 2 jabs at this, man. We got a couple of teams we can cheer for, being alumni, both you, Jackson State and Texas Southern, he, Prairie and Texas Southern. So, hey, it's not our fault. 212, 210, 20%, go up a little bit, 22. We'll take it. It is what it is. At times, we just keep it smiling. But seriously, that was an intriguing battle. We told everybody coming into it, that's a tough matchup. We saw it last year when they took on HC Prairie View. It really took it down to the wire. If it wasn't for a tough outlet pass that the player probably should have just hold, they would have got upset last year. Well, Texas Southern, make sure they get it done, and you get your first #1 seed, men's or women's side, that goes down in day #2. We'll talk about that and the rest of the tournament on the other side. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break as well.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door. Tell them I'm hungry.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have Charles Bishop, Trevin Jones, and Charles Edmonds in the building. We even might have a sneak view inside of Ken Rashad. I heard he's sneaking in the background on there in Birmingham. He does.
Ken over
the
here
legend.
pecking away, the man, the myth, the legend himself.
Trying to write the stories. I know it. Charles, welcome back to the show. How you doing today?
I'm not doing well, man. I'm still shocked and stunned and disappointed and hurt in my feelings. You know, that was a huge loss last night. But congratulations to Texas Southern.
Yeah, great point. We won't rub it in. We certainly understand when you get that connected to a program. That's why we wanted to bring you all both on. Trevin Jones, as he calls for Howard. You called the game masterfully, both of y'all. You in terms of the radio, Trevin in terms of the PA. You get attached to coaches. You get attached to players, even though they tend to be there short time, 2 years, sometimes 3 years, ultimately 4, maybe 5 if you're lucky in terms of grad year. COVID extended some of that. But you see people mature in a way in certain things, their maturation through their schooling. And you see coaches as they build and they grow. You see their ups and downs, sometimes at the weakest point. So I certainly understand what it means when you say you get those feelings too, even though when you call in the game, people don't understand you're a neutral observer, but those emotions are naturally there. So I appreciate you even talking about that a little bit. And we tease you because you care, but the fact that you're honest and open about that. What I wanted to get, though, a little bit is your thoughts on the overall tournament, and then maybe we'll dissect a little bit about that matchup and what you saw that maybe those that weren't watching or watching to see if you thought the same thing. But what have you seen with the overall tournament thus far?
Well, for me, I mean, it's in day one yesterday, the turnout wasn't kind of what I expected. You know, as far as our game, the fourth game, a number of Braves fans there. But a typical day one, you know, Wednesday, you start early, you finish late. And so I think the crowds will pick up once you get to the weekend. But I tell you what, it's been some upsets. You know, you had a women's upset right off the bat, which I kind of called on the Sports Zone the other day. UAPB Lady Lions upsetting Alabama A&M. I called that one. And then, of course, at the end,
you did.
You know, our Braves lost, you know, for the third year in a row. Landon Bussey can't beat Texas Southern. And it's been the same old dead horse every time. We get beat on the boards. You know, they just make tough, hard-nosed plays, something we've been doing all year until we get to Texas Southern in the postseason. But this is what March Madness is all about. And you know, Landon Bussey hates losing more than he loves winning. So he said last year's championship game stuck with him all the way through maybe the first part of non-conference. I'm sure this loss is going to stick with him even longer. It's a tough pill to swallow.
Talk a little bit about in terms of what is the makeup of Texas Southern that allows them to play, you know, the style that really works for a tournament versus what you see teams maybe play in a regular season?
I think Texas Southern's bigs, you know, you got John Walker III, who was really a beast inside. And I think Texas Southern would have been even better. You know, this team was a 7 seed. No, I'm sorry, an 8 seed. But they had 2 players transfer, Yahusas Rasas and ETN that transferred to Southern University. Those were 2 huge transfers. And I think that's the reason why they were a 7 seed. If they had those 2, I think Texas Southern would be pushing towards the top. But I think the difference to me, they got PJ Henry, who we contained last night. You know, 10 days ago we played him at 41. We contained him a little bit last night. But Texas Southern, I think, just has a good combination, a good blend of size, girth, length, and I think they put that to the test. It is something that we just have a hard time matching up with in the postseason, because as we know in the postseason, the game slows down. You're not going to get those 80-point games like we've had. And so I think that was the big story last night. I think Texas Southern's going to be a tough out. You know, they were hurt at the beginning of the year. They started out 0-5. First time in 60 years, they were 0-4 to start conference. I think they're the healthiest as they've been, and they're going to be a tough out. This is a battle-tested team that won the tournament last year, and and they're making strides again.
Great point. It's tightened up a little bit here in Norfolk at quarterfinals. Maryland Shores just up by 8, 70-62 with 6:28 left in the second half. Charles Bishop, you wanted to follow up with Charles?
Yeah, I wanted to follow up, but I wanted to switch gears and talk about the women's side of the bracket and just taking a look at, is there a team that can challenge Jackson State? Because we saw that early upset with UAPB, and I've made this point all season that I think UAPB is one of those teams that can match up fairly decent with Jackson State. What do you think going forward?
Yeah, man. Well, I just saw UAPB the other night. Got a chance to look at them yesterday in the tournament. I mean, Don Brown's got a pretty good mixture of size that can match up with Jackson State. You know, Jackson State, in the years past, you had a Misha Williams-Holiday. You just dump it into her and she goes to work. But this year, they got a 6'6", 6'5", 6'4". They've got a plethora of bigs that they can throw at you. And you're just not going to shoot over them. They're just too long. You know, we saw that, you know, in that game against Grambling last night. You're just not going to be able to do it. You got to get up and down the floor, make those bigs run a little bit. And I think if there's two teams that can match up with the bigs and get up and down the floor, it's Alabama State and UAPB. Bama State won yesterday. So I think Jackson State, it's gonna be an interesting challenge as they go forward. If they win it, they definitely gonna earn it because I think they're gonna be pushed these next two games.
For sure.
Trevin, did you want to ask a question to Charles Edmond about the SWAC?
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Definitely don't want to hurt Charles's feelings, but ain't nobody getting with Jackson State, man. Jackson State, Coach Reed. See, Coach Reed knows what she's doing. I mean, she had the ladies peaking at the right time. Everybody looked at the slow start. Even I got some flack, even in our rankings as far as Jackson State, where they were seated, as far as the women were concerned. But that's one of those teams where you knew. Defending champions, Coach Reed is an awesome coach. She's letting her players actually get into the game. She's letting the game come to her players. So Charles, you know, and I mean no disrespect to anybody else who's watching this, ain't nobody getting with Jackson State, man. The ladies are gonna win the SWAC tournament. I'm sorry, that's just how I feel.
And understandable, Charles. I did want to ask you this in regards to your thoughts, because of how involved you are with following your team and looking at the stats. Do you even get a chance to peek over at the MEAC in terms of basketball? I'm sure you do it for football in terms of that, but any chance that you get to kind of keep an eye on what's going on in the MEAC?
To be honest with you, no, I don't. And I apologize as a person that's a graduate of HBCU, works for one. I should be more well-rounded on the other aspects of HBCU sports in all conferences. So to be perfectly honest with you, no, I do not. As far as the MEAC is concerned, I know that the conference has shrunk a little bit, and I hope, you know, we get it back to full strength. But that's as far as my involvement with the MEAC. I really don't follow it like I should, and I have to apologize for that.
Doc, if I can jump in there, there's no need for Charles to apologize, right? Because that's hard.
I say that.
That's not easy. I'm sorry. It's not my show, Doc. Shut up.
No, you're right. I agree with you. I was going to say the same thing. No need to apologize. So I'm glad, Trevor, that you jumped in there. And we're all here. It's not about that in terms of that. We just try to play the point. And sometimes, you know, we share the ball in terms of who takes over the point. Just like when we had the technical issue, Charles was able to bounce up there. But I think you're right in the money when you talk about the challenges of following that. But that's why we are here to try to provide that connection of different folks to show that we're covering more information. But I think that also gives people the insight just how much work goes in to doing the play-by-play, to doing, you know, the radio broadcast. And sometimes I want to share that as much as well, because we have a lot of folks that ask questions, and they're good questions, but oftentimes they're questions of misunderstanding, that they don't really understand people's craft to go in there to call a game. Charles has slid over in that chair as well, and he'll tell you there's a lot of work when you do the research on players and try to make the show seamless when you're doing that. So I appreciate that upfront and honesty. We're going to take our last break, come back on the other side before we close the show a little bit. And what we'll do is we'll just get your final thoughts on these tournaments, particularly for you, Charles, and the SWAC. Trevin, for you and the MEAC, any final thoughts going down the street? Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break. I also want to give an update, as Charles asked about those Hall of Famers. We'll talk about the top 5 folks that got into the MEAC 2023 Hall of Fame. Stick with us. We'll be back after our last break on the other side.
This is Ryan Fulford. A.B. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
T. Madden & Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden & Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I'm live in Norfolk, Virginia. Charles is live in Birmingham, Alabama. And we have Charles Edmond as well as Trevin Jones giving us some insight both on the MEAC and the SWAC, specifically in terms of the tournament. Let me give you an update score here. Maryland Eastern Shore is up 76-62 with 4:26 left in the second half. Giving you those updates. Charles, do you have a scoring update over there in the SWAC for us?
Yeah, timeout on the floor right now, but the score here in the third quarter, a play between Southern and Prairie View. Southern's on top of Prairie View, 49-14.
Whoa. Say that again. What?
Yeah, I had to take a deep breath myself. 49-14 is your score here in Birmingham.
Hey, man, you need to go out there and verify that's the score. That's something ain't right.
Yeah, I know. I was just like, what? Oh, God.
Well, we got a couple of upsets, and we just got some major chaos going on there. Yeah, even Charles Edmond is shaking his head. He can't quite understand or believe that. And let me go to you, Charles Edmond, since I got you. What your takeaway going forward in the SWAC tournament? What do you kind of see? Any forecasting you like to get in terms of semifinals or final matchups this weekend?
Well, now that I have to take my Alcorn hat off because we're done. As far as the SWAC tournament is concerned, we're going to the NIT. We'll know that Sunday. But now I'm supporting my alma mater, Grambling State University, and I tell you what,
they look good.
Grambling is rolling, brother. Grambling is rolling. I mean, they had a little issue with one of their players off campus, and that didn't deter them at all. I have a lot of respect for Dante Jackson and the job he's done. If you remember, a few years ago, Grambling won the regular season title when they were ineligible to go to the postseason. That didn't let them deter them at all. So Grambling's rolling right now. The number 1 seed is out. But the margin between winning and losing is small. If Grambling's off their spot a little bit, you got Jackson State, you got Texas Southern. People kind of counted JSU out a little bit. Grambling's the favorite right now, but all it takes is a little slip. And we've seen upsets already. So I would say on the men's side, Grambling as a Grambling night. And on the women's side, of course, Jackson State, who's going to push you? That Prairie View score is very disappointing if you're a Prairie View fan. Prairie View beat Jackson State. Prairie View beat us twice. Prairie View was looking good at the end of the year. And to have that score, Southern was kind of up and down. That's a shocker. I cannot believe that's that wide of a disparity in score.
Yeah, it's one thing to lose to Southern because they split on the regular season, but to see somebody fall in that Man, that's got to be a tough way to take it. Trevin, in terms of the MEAC going to you, looking forward into your magic crystal ball, what do you think is going to happen moving forward of what you've seen thus far?
It's the MEAC, baby. I used to always do that at the games. I call the games down in the spectrum. Down in the scope, just to hear how it echoed. Man, and I say that with such excitement because it's exciting. You're already there. You're in the scope. You already know the tournament is awesome. You got two great matchups. You're gonna have Norfolk State playing North Carolina Central, and then you're gonna have Maryland Eastern Shore playing Howard. As far as the women are concerned, that's set for tomorrow. So definitely check that out. You have a team that's a 20-win, that's won 20 games in Norfolk State, the Lady Spartans, but they lost to the Bison last year in the championship game. So it could possibly be a rematch of last year's championship on the women's side. On the men's side, I have to say it. Coach Lavelle Moulton always has North Carolina Central peaking at the right time. Pay attention to that. No disrespect to the other teams, but I have to say, and I'm a Norfolk State Spartan, so Joe Bryant and the Spartans, oh man, you got Coach Jones. He always has his team rolling, but I have to say, anytime you could go 10 deep in your bench and you can knock it down from beyond the arc, and you have somebody named Steve Settles on your team, Coach Kenneth Blakeney and the Howard Bison got it going on. So I'm predicting that the Bison might go ahead and just win it this season.
Yeah,
maybe on the men and the women's side.
I'm excited about this game tonight. You know, I really get to feel it. I'm glad that it's set up in such a way that I get to see Norfolk in here and all its atmosphere. You can see the people moving in, and you can tell the buzz already here on Thursday night what that looks like. I can only imagine Friday and Saturday for the championship what that looks like. Charles, as you continue to shake your hand, I guess it's not getting any better. You can give another score update, but let me know also your thoughts in terms of what you may think happened in the tournament.
Well, right now Southern is in the midst of a 16-0 run. The score is 51-14. So they're really putting their foot on the gas here in this game. But it is a tough road here for Prairie View. But looking forward, take a look at this SWAC tournament. Tremendous game today with Jackson State and Prairie View. Jackson State has been, and I mentioned it, they won 4 straight down the stretch. They've been playing some really good basketball. So I think it makes it a very interesting tournament going forward because Jackson State has good, solid guard play, and they got some height. They got some guys that can rebound. So going forward, who is that team that can challenge a very hot Grambling? I think it's going to be a fun tournament going forward here Friday and Saturday on the men's side. And then you mentioned it, Charles Edmond, in terms of the teams that can match up with this Jackson State women's basketball team. Alabama State, 2 first conference, all conference performers with regards to Alabama State. And then when you take a look at UAPB, they always play Jackson State so hard, so tough. We saw it last year in the SWAC tournament. We've seen it in the regular season. They're always playing Jackson State tough, and they come up short. So who are those teams that can challenge the kingpin that is Jackson State women's basketball?
Yeah, want to close out there. Get Ken Rashad, give him a shout out, at least give a wave to the people, all the folks. Tell them come out where we show.
He just walked out of here. He went back to go take some front.
I want to shout out to Lynn Thompson that is down here and showing me most gracious support and love. If you would lean down just a little bit, so wave at the folks. Give them a big shout out. Want to shout him out. Brought in, I got a chance to interview the Hall of Famers here for the MEAC. That's Joshua Blunt, Delaware State basketball, as he won several championships. Sierra Brown, Hampton, 3-time All-American at Hampton University, came in and did a great job. Gary Coach, as we like to call him, Gary Fleet, Howard University, wide receiver. Got a chance to see him really get to celebrate going into the Hall of Fame. Great class. Ramona Riley Bozier, a Morgan State coach there, legendary coach Morgan State with the volleyball program, kicking butt, taking names. Also coached softball during that time where you had coaches that coached a little bit of both. Won championships really good at done on the volleyball. And these speeches that they gave and how thankful they were and heartfelt they were. And then you close it out with Maria Rodriguez, Maryland Eastern Shore, bowling, national championships. In terms of what she was able to do, NCAA crown, as well as United States Bowling Congress, USBC. And guess what? She is still bowling professionally in terms of, so that was fascinating. WBP A in terms of what she's getting done. So shout out to all of those Hall of Famers. Well done. Really want to appreciate Lynn. Give me an opportunity. Commissioner Steele, and what they're doing, the energy for the MEAC, all those MEAC folks out there that follow us and watch us. We're here to make sure that you get that information, you support. And I just want to say thank you, very gracious fans, in terms of welcoming me here, and really excited to see me in the house. And this jacket didn't hurt any because everybody wanted to know about that. So with that, coming to a close, just wanted to say thanks to everybody in terms of supporting us. Like always, place to be. All our listeners out there want to say thank you for everything. As we come up, get a little bit of noise here, and give you a closeout to say thanks for joining us as we on the road, giving you all the updates as you can see. Shout out Charles Evan to make sure you get the braid. Wave in there. Say hope is not dead yet. Eternal, as they say with the fans. I love it in terms of bringing it all day, every day, in terms of what that looks like. This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Hope you enjoyed our show. You know you can catch us every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. Check out HBCU Sports. Trevor Jones, tell them how they can catch you.
Just check it out, urbanmediatoday.com, and Ice Cold Alpha on Twitter. You can check that out. And then HBCU Pro Sports Media.
Edmund, how can they follow you? Charles Edmund?
I'm on Twitter, Tall Man Radio. On Facebook, Charles Edmund.
Real good, real good. This is Dr. Cavil. We're calling it the show inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We'll be out, and we'll check you after this break. We'll close out everything. Appreciate everybody. Y'all be safe. I'll see you down there tomorrow, Charles. Dr. Cavil's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We're out.
Enjoy the game, Doc.